Good morning, world. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 6:21 a.m.
Ooh, it's late. And Alexa, what is the date? Alexa, what's the date?
It's Monday, June 20th.
Okay, Alexa, is there any significance to today's date?
Today is Monday, June 20th.
Correct. Is it a holiday? Alexa, is today a holiday?
Today is International Surfing Day. And if you can't catch a wave today, you can perhaps wave to your catch.
Okay, got it. All right, so it's a little bit late. We have PT this morning, our usual 6:30, so I'm going to make this very short. Follow-up stuff. We have a lot of items for the garage sale and for people's houses. We will make those available to people who are going to be staying for July. Jeff will be reaching out, perhaps Greg will be reaching out to see what everybody's intentions are. Whatever you decide is okay, it's your decision, but you have to decide. Salvation Army wants the rooms, and if you don't care about the room, there's no reason not to give it to them. So we've got that. Ugh. Coffee's almost ready. I, of course, am always available by phone. I think I will be heading down today, but because it is a national holiday, who knows, maybe I won't. In the short time we have left, because we're now at 2 minutes and 10 seconds, let's talk about the rise of placebos and why this is important for your career. From Seth Godin, Seth's blog, there's a link to this below. It's quite long. The rise of placebos. I'm a fan of appropriate placebos. They often have few side effects, they're inexpensive, and they work when used in the right situations. You can check out my rant on them here. It's been read millions of times to date. So there's a link in there. A placebo isn't just a medical intervention. It's any tool we use to feel better in a complicated world, like going to Starbucks in the morning. That's my footnote. They don't just make us feel better, sometimes they actually change our physiology and make us better. A wine label is a placebo for some. Expensive wine tastes better until the labels are obscured. And even search engine satisfaction largely comes from the story we tell ourselves about what we're using to do the search. Many forms of marketing are actually efforts to build placebo effects. So you should be thinking about the first law of power at this point, because the first law of power is sort of like a placebo. Many forms of marketing are actually efforts to build placebo effects. But how do we pick them? Why is chicken soup good for a cold, but not tomato soup or turkey soup? And why are we seeing often, to our detriment, a rise in nostrums, conspiracies, and stories around things that used to be driven by facts and replicable studies? For a placebo to be effective, our brain needs room to maneuver. That probably involves complicated problems taking place over time that have emotional implications. Okay, so if you want to apply the placebo effect, you should have tie it to a complicated problem that takes place over a long period of time, and it can have emotional implications. When those conditions exist, our minds look for an explanation, firm footing, and a chance to make things better. Okay, so back for cavemen, that could be weather, explaining lightning and thunder, and this stuff called rain that we drink from the ground, but it comes from above. So that's a complicated problem when you're a caveman. Weather takes place over time, right? And it has emotional implications because rain can be good or bad, lightning can be good or bad. When these conditions exist, our minds look for an explanation, firm footing, and a chance to make things better. but that's always been true. The other factor is that we need to hear about a placebo from someone who had it work. The power of suggestion requires that a suggestion be made. Okay, so that would be a story from someone, an explanation of a complicated problem that takes place over time that has emotional implications told by somebody who experienced it. If an influential person was dieting on chicken soup when their cold naturally got better, it's not difficult to ascribe the improvements to the soup. Because the placebo was around when the disease ran its course, we associate the soup with the improvement. We can then tell others, increasing our confidence, status, and affiliation, in an effort to generously improve the health of our friends. Some of them will also be eating soup when their cold improves, further cementing the advantage that chicken soup has in the race to be placebo of choice for colds. We had plenty of placebos of every kind 1,000 years ago. We had no idea why the sun rose, why the snow fell, and why someone got sick. Placebos were essential for our emotional well-being, but the rise of the scientific method moved many of these stories to the side because we understood things more clearly and things that were complicated became less so. In the last 10 years or so, we've seen a shift happen. And as always, the internet is the agent to change here. The internet has given people a chance to share their fears and confusion and frustration about the world, particularly complicated things that happen over time. The world is not getting more complicated, but our fears and confusions are getting more widely shared, which makes it feel more complicated. Few people rant about gravity, but it's easy to see mystery or even conspiracy in events and trends that are less simple. If someone suggests a placebo is a cure, a palliative, or a cultural touchstone, it might be used by others. And some that use it will find that it was present as things got better. And so it gains in currency. Not because it worked in the way that vitamin C works to cure scurvy, but worked in the sense that it was coexistent with something else happening. Okay, so that would be the explanation of AA and NA. It's not for the reasons they say. It's because of neurotransmitters. It's because of decreasing dopamine and increasing oxytocin. And you don't need to call a sponsor or go to a meeting to increase oxytocin. Placebos that give us solace and patience with no side effects are magical. Also, alas, when we apply them to areas where we'd be better off doing something that has a more direct impact, we're making a mistake that costs us and those around us well. Let me read that last one again. Placebos that give us solace and patience with no side effects are magical. Alas, when we apply them to areas where we'd be better off doing something that has a more direct impact, we're making a mistake that costs us. Okay, so clinging to the belief that all you have to do is pray to an invisible man in the sky in order for things to get better is a mistake that costs us and those around us. It's better to pick up your shovel and start doing the work than sit back doing nothing, praying for it. Okay, so we are at now 9:05 and it is 6:30 a.m. So I am going to just quickly say our message for today. Yesterday was the only easy day. Let's go make something happen. And cut. Cut.